Let's talk about something that affects pretty much every relationship we have: arguing. We're often taught by conflict as this terrible sign that something is broken. But what if I told you that's not the whole story? Not even close.
Right, let's just tear this myth apart from the get-go. We're going to completely reframe how you look at arguing, because the idea that it's always a sign of a failing relationship, it's just plain wrong.
So if you're the kind of person who gets that pit in your stomach the moment a disagreement starts, that feeling that this means it's all going downhill,
then hey, congratulations. No, I'm serious.
You've been lied to. By movies, by bad advice, maybe just by what you saw around you. See, a lack of arguing isn't always a sign of a healthy relationship. A lot of the time, it's just a sign of two people who've stopped caring enough to fight.
And this is the absolute key to everything we're talking about today. The real issue isn't that you're arguing, it's how you're arguing. Every single healthy couple disagrees. The secret isn't to avoid conflict, it's to get good at it. This one idea is a total game changer.
So, to figure out how to argue better, we have to look under the hood a little bit. We've got to understand why we're really fighting. Turns out, pretty much every single disagreement boils down to one of two secret goals.
So on one hand, you have arguments that are really about connection. This is when the fight is just a clumsy, disguised attempt to say, hey, I don't feel heard right now, or I don't feel like I matter to you. But on the other side, you have arguments about control, and these are totally different. They're not about solving anything, they're about winning. They're about being right no matter what.
Here's a perfect example. Someone says, you never listen to me. Now, is that a literal fact-check statement about their listening history? Of course not. It's code. What they're really saying is, I feel disconnected from you in this moment, and I don't feel important. It's an emotional SOS.
Oh, and here's another classic. You're overreacting. Let's be honest. When someone says that, they're not really giving you a calm, rational assessment of your feelings. What they're actually saying is, your big emotion is making me feel uncomfortable, and I don't know what to do with it, so please stop. You see, most arguments are just about these hidden emotions running around in bad disguises.
Okay, so how does this actually look in a real fight? Well, when we argue from that place of control, we tend to fall into some really predictable and really destructive patterns. As I go through these, just ask yourself, does any of this sound a little familiar? First, you've got the prosecutor. This is the person who comes with a list of all your past failures, ready to present them as evidence. Then there's the escape artist. The moment things get heated, they're gone. Either they physically leave the room or they just emotionally shut down. Third is the explosion. This person bottles everything up until one tiny little thing makes them just erupt. And finally, you have the victim, who uses guilt to their advantage, saying things like, fine, I guess I'm just a horrible person then. Look at the goal for all of them. It's not about connection, it's about protecting themselves.
Let's picture this. Couple A has a disagreement. Right away, voices get raised. Then the interrupting starts, so nobody actually feels heard. Then, the prosecutor jumps in, bringing up that thing from 6 months ago. The fight gets bigger and bigger until nothing. Just silence. The escape artist has checked out, and the problem is still just sitting.
Now, let's look at couple B with the exact same problem. But instead of jumping in, one of them takes a breath, a pause. They actually listen instead of just reloading for their next point. They ask questions like, okay, help me understand why that felt bad. They might not solve the problem right then and there, but they end the conversation with understanding. It's the same conflict, but the outcome, it couldn't be more different.
So if we know what the bad patterns look like, and we know what's really hiding underneath the surface, what's the one simple thing that can pull us out of couple A's doom loop and put us on couple B's path?
It all comes down to one single fundamental rule. It's a mindset shift that can turn a battle into a team meeting. This is it. This is the whole secret. You have to remember, you are on the same team. The problem is the opponent. The person standing in front of you is your teammate. If you can just hold on to that one idea when things get heated, it is the most powerful tool you will ever have.
I mean, think about it. The second your partner becomes the enemy in your mind, your goal is no longer to understand. Your goal is to win. And let me tell you, when one person wins an argument in a relationship, the relationship always loses.
And this brings us to a really important final idea. We are so obsessed with finding the perfect solution to every problem, but sometimes we completely miss the most important part of a conflict.
Here's the truth. Not every argument is going to wrap up with a perfect, neat little bow. And that is totally okay. What's way more important is the repair. Acknowledging the other person's hurt, taking responsibility for your part, actually working to fix the emotional dent you just put in the relationship, that's how you rebuild trust.
And you know what? A repair doesn't have to be some grand, complicated gesture. Something as simple and honest as this. You know what? I didn't handle that well, but I really care about you. That can be more powerful than an hour of debating who was right or wrong. It says your connection is more important than your ego.
So I want to leave you with a completely new definition of the word argument. It's not a failure. It's not a fight to the death. An argument is just feedback. When you start to see it as feedback, everything changes. It becomes this amazing diagnostic tool. An argument points a giant flashing arrow at the exact spots in your relationship that need a little work, where a need isn't being met, where communication is fuzzy, and where there's a huge opportunity for both of you to grow. So in the end, the goal isn't to stop arguing. It's to start asking a much, much better question. The question isn't, do we fight? The question is, when we fight, are we doing it in a way that pulls us closer together or pushes us further apart? Because that choice right there makes all the difference.